Well, some recent commentators have said that George W. Bush has been the worst president in modern American history. But one best-selling author says the title should go to another president, a president whose current blueprint for peace in the Middle East could be disastrous.
In the new book, Jimmy Carter, The Liberal Left and World Chaos, a Carter-Obama plan that will not work, author Mike Evans makes the case that Jimmy Carter's potential influence in the current debate over Middle East policy could have catastrophic results for the United States and the world. Evans calls Carter the godfather of world chaos because he says Carter created the firestorm that destabilized our greatest ally in the Muslim world, the Shah of Iran, in favor of the Ayatollah Khomeini. Evans traces the war in Iraq and the war on terror back to the policies of Jimmy Carter. And he warns if the Obama administration follows in Carter's footsteps, there will not be peace, and Israel will be sacrificed.
Well, joining us now from our Washington, D.C. studios, investigative journalist and author Mike Evans. His new book is called Jimmy Carter, The Liberal Left and World Chaos. Mike, I understand this book's in the third printing already.
It is, Pat, and it's great to see you, my friend.
Thank you. Listen, you're really tough on Carter in this thing. Did Carter really give, was it $50 million to the Muslim Brotherhood?
He really did. You know, the Muslim Brotherhood didn't have the money or the arms to create the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. Carter launched it because when he destabilized Iran, the Russians said, we're going to invade Afghanistan if you do this. They did. And so he ran to Cairo with Cyrus Vance to fund the Muslim Brotherhood, which Osama ended up on the payroll. But by the way, worse than that path, he funded Khomeini in Paris, checks of $165 million 4 times to Khomeini while he was there 4 months, so Khomeini could get on a plane full of terrorists and journalists and have a radical Islamic revolution.
Wait a minute, Mike. You say that Carter gave, through his administration, $165 million 4 times to Khomeini?
Yeah, they did. They did it through operatives. I talked to one of the operatives who was carrying the money. He did. He was funding terror. He should be accused of treason, but he won't.
Well, Khomeini came in as a great hero, and Carter acted like he didn't have anything to do with it. But you say his fingers were all over the money.
Carter believed that Khomeini was a Gandhi-like figure. That's what Andrew Young told him. Carter planned the overthrow of the Shah by George Ball, his advisor. I met with the French, I met with the Israelis, I met with operatives in the United States. Carter believed he had a worldview that Islamic state would be okay. By the way, there was a president Friday who thought the same thing in his speech.
Well, listen, what are these Carter policies going to bring about? Are they now being adopted by the State Department?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, they are. They're trying the same tolerance for terror. Izhar Harel told me on September 23rd, 79, during the Carter mess, he founded Mossad. He said, if America continues this tolerance for terror, the terrorist will strike your fertility symbol, Phalanx, New York City, in your tallest building. That was September 23rd, 79, during the Carter-Reagan election campaign.
Mike, what do you see coming down the road? Now, Hillary Clinton has said, I'm going to negotiate with the Iranians, with this group that's over there now, these radicals. What do you think of that?
Well, Pat, also she's going to negotiate with the moderate Taliban. Judah Pearl is reading my book right now. His son, Daniel, his head was cut off by the moderate Taliban. We're sending signals to radical Islam that our soft underbelly is exposed and we're wetting on our lake and we fear them. When you do that, they'll come here and they'll hit us like they've done Israel. Asymmetrical, suicide bombers. But the fear right now that Woolsey has, James Woolsey, CIA, and most of the Israelis have, is centrifuge material lead-lined. A backpack 625 with centrifuge material could kill 100,000 people in a heavy populated city.
Well, Mike, the liberal left, why are they allying themselves, in your opinion, with the radical Islam? That isn't liberal in any way, shape, or form.
Pat, in the 60s, when the ideological revolution was birthed in America, they rejected God. They said, God is dead. And Khomeini was living in Iraq, and he said, and they're trying to get us to bury him. Now, those ideologues of the 60s right now are running the State Department, the media, the universities, and they are also running the White House.
That's a shocking thought. Let's switch over to Israel. We've both got strong ties to Israel.
We do.
Our friend Benjamin Netanyahu is now prime minister. How do you see him moving forward?
Well, Pat, I recommended him for his first job. When Begin was prime minister, his brother was shot in the back, and I said, I believe he's going to be prime minister. Would you give him a job? And he did the next night. And by the way, it happened because of you. I came on your show, and I was praying and fasting for a miracle of $10,000. Nobody knew it. And you said, Mike, share with our partners your need. The Lord said, don't do it. Don't share anything. I went back to my hotel room, and to my shocking amazement, there was a check from you for $10,000, the precise amount I needed to begin this ministry. So thank the 700 Club partners and you. Bibi's going to be great. Moshe Yalan, your friend also, who was chief of staff, is going to be his minister of defense. They're going to have to take out Iran's nuclear reactors. They will actually do it this year, Pat. It's 1,100 targets. They're to take out retaliatory targets also. It's going to be about a 5 to 7 day operation. They told me it's going to be easier to do than the Syrian attack.
They really think it's going to be easier to do? Is the United States going to give them refueling points, or are they can they refuel their own plane?
They can refuel their own planes, but they said it'll be less. It will be less on them than attacking Syria and war with Syria, because Iran does not have an air force. It's going to be an ICBM operation, predominantly in high-altitude bombs, but they're going to do it. And by the way, all the Sunni states are going to cheer after they scream their heads off, because they don't want to go nuclear. 200-mile Gulf with a Shia Persian nuclear, they are all in deep trouble if it happens.
Well, Mike, we appreciate you, buddy. You're telling it like it is. I love to hear what you're saying. And this book is called Jimmy Carter, The Liberal Left and World Chaos. It's in bookstores everywhere. You ought to get a copy of it.
Obviously very successful. So many reprintings in 5 weeks. That's amazing.
Thanks, Mike. God bless you.
Pat, I love you, brother.
Thank you. Terry?
Well, up next.